The Roots of Success podcast is for the landscape professional who's looking to up their game. We've got a brain trust of experts to help you nurture the roots of a successful business and grow to the next level. This is the Roots of Success.
Welcome to Roots of Success podcast, and I'm your host, Tommy Cole, and we have two amazing guests, my good friends and clients, Mr. Tom Groh and Miss Dana Groh. How are you doing?
We're doing great today. Thanks for inviting us onto your podcast.
Yep. Tom, you have the floor now. How are you doing?
It's good. I'm trying to match your energy, so we'll see how we do.
Yeah, this is going to be a good one. Tom and Dana come from the great state of Minnesota. Did I say that right?
Yeah, I said it right. Even
Minnesota Sodding Company up there in the north, and they have an absolutely amazing business that they've been working on since early 90s. And it's a very unique business. Not a lot of like planting trees and building fire features and pools. This is a very unique niche in the market, and this is what I love about it. So why, without getting too much details, Tom, I know you're just itching to say how this company got started. What is MSC all about? Give us the lowdown.
Oh, MSC started when I was 15 years old. My mom would pick up my workers with her Nissan Sentra, and we'd pick them all up, my classmates, and drop us off at our jobs. And I would ride my bike to sell, and we would get sod projects in the developments outside of Minneapolis, St. Paul. And so that's how it kind of started in 1991. Wow. And I had a lawn mowing business, door-to-door lawn mowing type stuff as well. And every time I needed to make a little extra money, we'd have to sod a yard. So then I started saying, well, why are we mowing grass if we could just keep sodding yards? And that's pretty much how we started and ended our lawn mowing career, and just focused on sodding and installing grass on yards.
Sodding and installing grass. That's it. And so that got started at the ripe old age of 15, but you carried it on. I mean, I don't know many companies that really specialize in just sod installation. Is that something that you got really excited about, or your clients took you there and you kind of followed them? How did that really start the niche?
Well, the niche really started as first it fed a couple of things. I'm kind of instant gratification. So you can instantly feel your effect at the end of a job. And so a landscape project could go on for months, and until the grass is down, nobody brings a camera out until the grass is down. And I think kind of that's how it feeds my inner why of the instant gratification. And it's pretty fun to be there right at the end of the project. We look like the heroes, even though everybody else does all the hard work before we get there. So
yeah, it is instant. When you put saw down, it is like so satisfying to go from something that's just dirt or bad sod to something that's so perfect. You just want to so when you do a saw job, you just want to lay on it like a brand new carpet in your house.
Yeah. Well, I don't really necessarily lay on it, but it is fun to run through the sprinklers if it's hot.
Sounds good. So years go by, right? You might have probably gotten a couple of pickup trucks, a few employees. Things are rolling. Take us through that mid part of trying to figure out a business and how it was going. I'm sure everything was perfect and you had no issues.
No, that wasn't necessarily true. I went to the University of Minnesota, studied horticulture and turf, emphasis in turf management, and then got out of school. And that's where I met Dana, was at the turf school at University of Minnesota. And then upon leaving there, we both spent 3 years working for a large landscape contractor here in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and still doing the sod and seed work for them.
Good.
Brought some of our workers over to that company. And that's really where we met almost all the people we work with today. And they're still in our network. And a lot of them work with us at MSC, as well as some of our customers as well have come out of that experience. So we spent 3 years each in a really large landscape company. They were part of the Land Care roll up, True Green Land Care roll up, and eventually bought out by Valley Crest type organization. And just really, that was just kind of a fun era to be part of. And we've been kind of chasing that feeling ever since, to building something great and for our workers and our friends in the business. So,
yeah. So speaking of meeting Dana and joining in on forces, Dana, did you tell me about the early days of working with your husband as far as like who does what, who's on first and who's on second, who's on third base in this sort of let's start a business after we've been working with a national provider?
Yeah, it was really a great experience working for a large landscape company in the Twin Cities. And that's really where we learned the commercial market. And the commercial market is so much different than the residential market. And through the experience of working for that company for 3 years, that's when we decided that we wanted to focus on commercial work. It's just a different pace, different customer. And so upon leaving there, we went back and started running Minnesota Siding Company full time. And we did not by any means have any systems together. So we were definitely chaotic back then. And it was pretty much all hands on deck. So we didn't really have a separation of duties quite yet then. Okay. So it was a little rough going there for a while.
Yeah, it's a little rough. But talk about all over your website and all of your social media, Dana is heavily involved, whether it be operations, the financials and things. What gets you out there in the field to experience all of that? There's got to be a lot of good, juicy stuff. Let me back up just one more. Yeah. I want to back up and also commend and recommend if you are young, I'd love getting experience at a national level or a large company out of college or out of high school at some point, because typically those companies have some systems of some sort, right? They've gotten large for a reason, but you can learn on their dime a little bit, right? It take a few years. And my recommendation is spend 3 to 5 years learning everything you can. That's a very good knowledge base. There's systems, there's software, there's SOPs type stuff, generally speaking at that level. And then if you want to branch off at that time, go forward. So talk about your experience out there. I love seeing Dana out in the field. I mean, there's some funny videos and pictures of you wearing, I'll call them beanie hats. You may call them something different up north, but out there in the field, it just grinding. What do the field people say about all that?
No, when I get the opportunity to work in the field, it's always one of my favorite days of the season. I was actually just working with the crew on Monday. It wasn't very fun. The weather was really bad, but no, we all have fun together, and we just always make it a good day. And I think they don't ask like, why is she out here? It's just we work hard to be one big team, and we really strive to make our team, to build our bench wide. So a lot of us are able to do a lot of different things. It's not just like I don't have to stay in the office because I'm not able to run the equipment and whatnot. I can get out there and get things done as well in the field and work with the team.
Well, you just got to make sure Tom is behaving out in the field. That's probably your most observation in the field, is just making sure he is doing what he's supposed to be doing, right? Not right. Horse playing, right, Tom?
Yeah. He doesn't like to miss out.
I was on the same job, but they put me in the excavator, so I couldn't talk to anybody. Distance.
Yeah.
Put me in a cab and an excavator. Everybody stayed 10 feet away.
We will lock it from the outside. Yeah, you just keep digging. Yeah. So talk about MSC. So our audience is wondering, like, what is this? Okay, it's not just a sod install company. It's not like you're getting a pallet of squares and hand places. Go check these people out. Unbelievable install. So tell me about what specifically you guys do.
Well, I guess we have a couple of different areas. So we have what we consider our new construction, which is basically large office warehouse type projects, new construction. We also have a athletic field construction division where we grade and build pro level ball fields, as well as municipal and high schools and even little league. We built the T-ball field wiffle ball field, wow, which is way cool. So we built a pro level wiffle ball field in South Dakota for a small town. And it's one of the coolest projects we've ever been part of. Wow. So shout out to them in South Dakota. But yeah, we travel. We do some work out in Phoenix, as far south as Kansas City, far east as Detroit. We've done work all over the nation with our Ballfield stuff. And then we do something that we call maintenance, but no mowers. So our maintenance, no mowers is basically spraying weeds, fertilizing, top dressing, slit seeding, and the renovation work on Ballfields as well. So that's another piece of our business that we do. But yeah, we don't own any lawnmowers, and we do have a prairie division as well.
Yeah.
Most of our commercial projects now have prairie and native seeding on their sites, and so we have that. We install prairies, and then we also maintain them as well.
Wow, fascinating. So tell me about, if you're bidding work outside of the town that you live in, how does that happen? And I want our audience to understand, like, how there's all, and I know some of this, it's per diem, travel, hotel, all these things that you have to include. Like, tell us that learning experience that you had to figure out and then also bid.
Well, one of the hardest challenges is the fact that we've had targets that we've done that are 4 or 5 hour drives away, and yet we didn't get the ones on either side of our town that we live in. So we'll do targets all over the U.S., but somehow the ones that are only 5 miles from our shop, we don't win the bids on those. But put people in a hotel with per diems, and then they'll want to hire us. So
yeah,
don't quite understand all the ins and outs of why we get certain jobs and we don't. But almost all of our work that we get is relationship based. It's a trusted relationship that we have with the contractors, either the general contractors and or the landscape professionals that we work with and partner with. So almost all of our work is a partnership type quoting and getting.
Yeah, that's good.
Jobs are really interesting. A lot of times it's a quick turnaround. We had my most memorable job that was an out of town job for an athletic field was we got a call like late morning, and they said the current contractor is not able to fulfill the project, and so will you guys be able to come and help us out and finish the project? So we literally were on the road by 2 or 3?
Yeah, 2 or 3.
On our way to Kansas City, and we were working the next day.
Yeah.
It was
wow.
But as a company, we don't like to say no to work. We figure out how to make it happen. Yeah. So that was quite the marathon. But
if it's your client, right, you're going to jump on and go. And I think that's the thrill that both of you love, is the thrill of this sort of issue or this thing that we need to accomplish. And I feel like you get the team and the morale and the equipment all together. It's almost like having a big football or baseball event that you have to prepare for. I think you two love that versus the every single day. It's a like kind of repeat every day type deal. And that's no easy task because there's a lot of planning involved along the way. Talk about one of my most favorite projects that you guys got involved in that also had to, it's in your state. Talk about the Minnesota Twins Target Field and how you got that contract. And I think you were selected to be the labor force, right? Behind that entire project. Talk about that for a bit.
Well, we're going to probably ruffle a few feathers with the story, but the early part of it is that I had heard that in order to bid on the Target Ballfield construction, you had to be in a pre-bid meeting that took place a year before the work was scheduled to go.
Yeah.
Even though we weren't qualified to build the field, I still got myself in the room, and everybody was in the room, and you had to sign in. And there's a piece of paper that went around the room with everyone's phone number and email and name on it. And after the meeting, I went up to the secretary and I asked if she could make a photocopy of that list. And I called everybody on that list and saw it and asked who was going to bid on that and asked that we would be their partners. So that's really how we entered into the athletic fields world, was just us sitting in a meeting and, basically like knocking on doors. So door knocking, as I started that in the 90s on my bike with door hangers. That's basically what we did to get into the Minnesota Ball, their brand new Target Field Stadium. The other piece that really worked out well with us is that we have a great relationship. We are a union contractor, and we are by choice. And we absolutely love our partnership with our local 563. But what it is typically in the sports turf world, it's traveling companies will travel from out. And Fields Incorporated out of Atlanta, Georgia, was awarded the contract. They awarded the sod installation to go to Graff's turf farms in Colorado. And basically, our union blocked both of them from being able to bring their labor in, because they said you have to hire Minnesota labor. But we had great relationship with our union, and they said you'll have a great partner if you work with MSC to do the work. And so that's where our partnerships formed. And those things, both companies, non-union companies coming into town, we ended up following them all over the country after the Minnesota Twins. They're like, this is a great experience. And that's really what kind of kicked off and started our career in sports turf.
Yeah. Relationships. Tom, Dana, you two are probably some of the best I've ever seen maintain that from a work standpoint and a personal standpoint. Why are you two so good at this?
I think this is kind of fun. I think you have to really respect who brought you to the dance. And I think both in personal and at work, we find it interesting at work as so many people will chase once they get in, and they'll try to box somebody out. And that creates a trust issue and fear of somebody introducing you to their customer, thinking that you're going to try to take them. And we have spent our entire career respecting who brought us to the dance and who brought us to the table. And we protect that relationship highly. And I preach that to our workers and our family and our kids who are starting their own businesses as well. And we just you really have to protect those relationships and your reputation.
Yeah. Yeah. Dana, what do you have to say?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely important to protect your relationships, not only with your customers, but also with your vendors, because your vendors are the ones that are ultimately part of the success of you getting your job done on time as well. So I mean, sometimes I don't think the vendors get enough credit for what they do either.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not about, this is how we a lot of times treat our vendors. Hey, Bob, I need to get a price. I need a price right now. What can you best do for me? All right, thanks, click, buy.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? That happens, especially in the commercial world. I've been a general contractor. I've been in dirt construction for a long time. And that's what that is. And it should not be that. It should be a two-way relationship. I'm going to put in everything I got. And it's more about than just picking up the phone and give me a price.
Yeah.
Because I've been on that side of the fence, and it's rough. It is cutthroat. It's nasty. It's ugly. People yell and scream about the bottom, and you guys aren't a part of that. And it's proof that relationship and nice people win in commercial construction. It can be done at the end of the day. You guys have proven it. I'm gonna tell a little story. Tom's gonna love this. Tom's probably like, "Oh my gosh, what did I do?" When we
I've said a lot of stories to you in private, just so you know.
In Orlando, you'll remember this story. Randomly at an Element conference, super fun, lots of people, good energy. And for some reason, Tom stood out. I don't have any idea why Tom stood out. Maybe the red shirt, or maybe just his awesome personality and relationship building skills for whatever reason. My dad's name was Tom, so maybe there was a connection there. And I was trying to get you guys involved in ACE peer groups. And we're talking about traveling and all this thing and where you going next. I feel like this was November-ish, maybe October, November. I can't remember.
Yeah,
maybe
I think it was
December.
Yeah.
It was
Anyways, so we're talking, and he says, when's your next trip? And I said, I'm going to Eugene, Oregon.
Yeah.
Right? I was going to Eugene, Oregon. And he said, man, that must be fun. That's great. And you made me a challenge, right? A challenge was, great, you're going to Eugene. And I told you about the hotel I was staying at, this cool place, like a college type hotel, and called the Graduate. And I told you all about it. And I said, there's this famous duck there when you walk in. It's got Nike all over for the University of Oregon. And he said, sounds good. I need you to go take a picture in front of that duck. And if you can do that, I'll jump into the peer groups. And I said, that's on. And you didn't know that my number 2 strength is competition. So when Tom said, I bet you, see if you can do that and see what happens. Well, fast forward, right? A few months go by and my trip gets completely canceled. And I'm freaked. I feel like the only thing that I had to do was get a picture in front of the duck in Eugene, Oregon. And
I had one job.
But then, yeah, I had one job. I don't
Wonderful.
remember about how the meeting went. It literally was get a picture in front of the duck. And I was kind of freaking out that I wasn't going to get my opportunity. And so I had to like text Tom and go, man, we got snowed in and we can't get there. It's iced over. And he goes, I still need a picture of the duck, man. What I need. So a few months later, we were able to rebook the trip, and I got my official picture in front of the duck, sent it to Tom. You might have forgotten about it. I don't know at that point, but at that point, I feel like there was a bond, there was a trust. And since then, honestly, Tom has been a really good, genuine friend of mine along the way. And it's been awesome to see him grow and develop and have fun and let loose and all that. So it's kind of a funny story about, I think he challenged me a little bit and said, if you can go through this, then I feel like our relationship was in the hands.
Anybody can coach, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of coaches in the world, and if there's how many coaches are going to go take a selfie with the duck. So it's kind of
that would be me. That would be me. Go Oregon Ducks. There you go.
We like to put our vendors through the paces, and that's just to build trust and to see if they're going to follow through.
It's like a little scavenger hunt, a little bit of test to see what you can build there. Talk about software. All right, let's get a little juicy here. You guys have been involved in an LMN for a while, I believe, but really got hot and heavy here recently, maybe in the last couple of years. I felt like you kind of doubled down on it more. Talk about, give our audience some advice or some awareness of what that meant to you and your team. And maybe it was a bit tricky at first on getting buy-in from the team. It might have been buy-in from your own self. Talk about that a little bit.
So I think we joined LMN right around like 2013-ish, give or take a year. And so we were at to the point where we knew it just couldn't be the two of us anymore. So we needed to bring on more people. And there was no way we'd be able to successfully bring on anybody without having some sort of program to be able to start streamlining MSC. Yeah. Which we had no systems. I mean, it was like, I refer to them as our cowboy era. It was basically like, look at a job and you'd be like, oh, that looks like a $3,000 job. There was no like serious thought behind it. I mean, not always, but a lot of the times it would be just off the cuff, like, oh, it looks like it's, this many dollars kind of a thing. And so then we started searching around. We actually hired somebody for, I think, probably about a year. And they were working on building us a program, an internal program. And then I think it was like over the winter, we just started doing Google searches. And Tom found LMN through just doing a Google search. And so then we started messing around, researching their budget, started working with their budget, did some estimating. And then pretty much from then on is when we started using LMN, but it really centralized MSC. All of our information was in one spot. We were able to confidently start bidding work and winning it, and not having to think like, oh, are we gonna be behind, ahead? And that's also the time that we really started digging into learning our numbers. I mean, we got into the business because we love turf, we love landscaping, right? And I know for me personally, I wasn't thinking long-term as a business owner. It was all about just doing the fun work.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, our business was struggling before LMN. And so that just really helped turn us around. So along with LMN, really tuning into LMN, we also hired a business consultant. Mm-hmm. And between the two of them, it was a total game changer for us.
Yeah. Yeah. So what has it game changer for you guys? Is it, can you give me specifics on like production? Tom, maybe you're the person, like, tell me what was the game changer in operations or production? Like, is there a system? Is there data that you guys use that said, I always ask the question, how we know we're winning, right? And you probably know that now, as before it was like, if you're winning, hopefully the client likes it and you hit the deadline. But there's some missing parts to that, right?
Yes. So there's a couple pieces I'm going to sideline just for ever so second. But Mike Lasecki was our first coach. And he introduced me a KPI that I did not have, that we didn't have, revenue per hour.
Yeah.
As a metric on how to judge how successful a day was, a project was, is our revenue per hour. And when revenue per hour was introduced, the light bulb went off. And it was similar to, I read the book Good to Great around the same era. And Walgreens was the profit per customer. And CVS or Snyder's, I think at the time, or whatever the company, their competitor was their profit per square foot. And so those guys were battling it out in the pharmaceutical, selling pharmaceuticals to people. And Walgreens was building a store on all the best corners, and Snyder's was off in the corner, on the cheap real estate. And so all of a sudden, having the revenue per hour introduced was a game changer. And then we were able to take that operationally into, well, what work pays the highest revenue per hour work? And so that became a judge every year. Since 2012, we've just been watching our revenue per hour go up every year. And every season we take whatever our average revenue per hour was the previous year, and we make that the floor. So everything that we bid this year is just above average work.
And next step up. Yeah.
And we go up another $10 an hour for this year. And then all of a sudden next year, guess what? The floor is now this year's average. Yeah. So that has been the best operational thing we do, is to recognize. And we've left some markets. There's some things we used to run heavy landscape roll-off recycling program, where we hauled landscape bins, they call them, dumpsters, bins. And we would be recycling landscape waste for all sorts of landscape contractors. Well, it doesn't pay the revenue per hour like some of our other work.
It's too low.
So it's too low. So it's even dictated some of the markets that we were in and the types of services we offer, because it can't compete with some of the other stuff that we do. So I think the revenue per hour is the best KPI that was ever introduced to us. And I have to give all the credit to Mike Lasecki introducing that to us. So that's the piece of the software that Element really has given us that opportunity. The next piece that we get
one more quick question, Tom, about that.
Yep.
So is that give me some context. Is that a daily thing? Is it posted? Are you watching? Do the crews understand it? Get a little more tactical, how you guys, I know we've heard that from the Element software and that awesome team that's there currently just about revenue per hour, but give me a little more tactical on that. How do you guys use it?
We have it figured out. Dana does job costing at the end of every project. We have the estimated revenue per hour on everything that's sold for the year. So we already know that we're above average on every project that we've sold. And then we do a job costing, and then we get the actual revenue per hour after we're finished.
Gotcha.
And so that is something everybody's aware of. Every single person in our company knows what the revenue per hour is on the projects that they're working, the type of work they're doing when they're going out. And everybody's trying to beat their time, because we know if we get the job done ahead of schedule, it will skyrocket that revenue per hour. Yeah. And in conjunction with our profit sharing, profit sharing bonuses, that is really where the bulk of our profit comes through, is through beating our estimates.
Yeah.
And that goes back to the team every month. Yeah. And that's fantastic.
And so your team has bought in the revenue per hour. Was there a second part to this revenue per hour and then something else?
Well, what we also do is we look at the same thing with Element. The way they have our time app working is everybody sees live how many hours are in the project, and they see if it's doable or not. And people pick up the phone really quick. Everybody in the field is like, there's not enough time to this job. Tell me there's a change order, or something's not loaded right into the system, because they'll get out of the job and say, this is not obtainable. So what were you thinking? Is this scope of work? Am I looking at this right or wrong? And it gets the project managers, the salespeople, and the people in the field. They talk really quickly.
Yeah. It opens up conversations. It's so great. You can have the conversations like what's going really good, what didn't go so well. So then next time, you know how you need to switch it up for the next job, the next similar job. It's so useful.
Yeah. It's a gauge on how you're performing. There's no other better way, right? And I always coach you all the time. You sell an hour, you perform an hour. That's as simple as our landscape business should ever be. But I think oftentimes we make it very difficult there's 50 shiny objects in front of us. And really all it comes down to is selling an hour of work and producing an hour of work or less. And at the end of the game, that's the only thing that matters. Once that's all been done, then the gross profit and the net profit and everything else kind of follows. But I think a lot of times we start on just give me the gross profit, but gross profit is just such a massive thing to follow, right? And I feel like almost crew members can't understand what that is. You know what they understand is the crew out that says, here's your budget, here's what you got to go do, right? And they get to see that live.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think gross profit is it's a number that bankers like to see. I don't think it's a practical number for the field, or even myself for that matter. I don't pay any attention to the gross profit.
Did you share gross profit at one time?
No.
To the team? Okay, no. So it was
income for bonus.
Yeah, for the bonus.
And that's okay. I think a lot of companies do that when they say share the numbers and all the knowledge, right? I think that's one step. But over the last few years, I've really sort of realized that's not the right one. And the revenue per hour or also the budget versus actual, I call it, are probably the two most important things that they can really have an impact on. Budget versus actual on labor, materials, and subs. And when you understand that, the team can really make a difference, good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
And so tell me about how you got buy-in from the team. Is it just consistency? Is it an education piece? Is it training? Is it never let up on using the software, the crew budget, and the app and all that, or something different?
I think our biggest buy-in is our bonus programs.
Okay.
So once they knew they can control their income and have a direct impact, I think our bonus systems worked. We keep adding some things to it and changing it and making it better. So we have a monthly profit sharing where 15% of our profit goes back to the crew every month. And that has a significant impact. We saw our production skyrocket and things really improve on that one. Last year, we rolled out some individual-based not scorecards, but individual-based bonuses based on performance. And this year, we made improvements to that as a balanced scorecard. We picked up in the Leanscaper using some of those balanced scorecards and made improvements to our individual stuff too. So now people know what winning looks like and how they can, and really what's important. What do they see what we think is important to their success, and they can have a positive impact on their own lives.
Yep. And then if somebody doesn't understand necessarily what a number means or like how does that work, they're really good about asking questions to get a better understanding, which is so great to see.
Yeah.
It's really been fun.
Yeah. It's not an easy task, but I will tell you, everyone will understand if I've got 100 hours, I got to get it in 100 hours. And the countdown starts now, right? Everyone will understand that from any level, no matter that. And I think it all starts from you too, when there's buy-in. And if you two are setting the bar at a certain height and said, this is what we got to do, there's really no questions about it. We got to roll out this to the team. And if you're consistent and you're adamant about it, then it trickles all the way down to every single level in the entire organization.
Yep.
That's good.
Yeah.
God, so much stuff to talk about. You guys have got a lot of great things going on. Is there sort of like any one thing that's the success at MSC? Talk about, I'm going to go ahead and answer this for you. It's the people. Talk about the people on your team. We've talked about systems. We talked about really amazing projects. We talked about how Tom had a car and he was, pushing a mower and putting sod in. But I want to talk about the team and what that means to you. Is there any investments that you put in? Is there any coaching or mentorship or training, or what does MSC do right now?
We're a little bit of a sink or swim company, and we're trying to change.
Okay.
So we've been I think we used to wear the badge of honor 20 years ago, as in the grit would show up, and that would be kind of the differentiation. There wasn't a lot of training. It was basically, go out there and make money. And I can see that. And then the job suits used to scream at us 20 years ago. And there's just a lot of yelling, when we first got into the business. And that was kind of the cowboy way era. That's dying. I mean, that nobody really wants to work for that kind of an organization.
Yes.
It's just it's not like we can't sit there and talk romantically about the past.
Right.
But there's some great memories. But again, we probably lost some really good people due to that kind of behavior. And
this is the learning curve, Tom, right? So no one's going to be perfect. That's what I like about this. So we've got some work to do.
Yeah.
So what's the MSC sort of realizing that we need to do instead of to get it out of the cowboy area? What are some of our goals, and what are some things that we need to get done here at MSC?
One thing that we're working on is developing SOPs.
Okay.
We're very lacking in SOPs. I mean, we have a couple, but we're working hard to get everybody involved on that. Bringing in people for education, that's really been helpful. We've been pretty good about doing like our local education, but we've been finding other workshops and involving our team on that. So then they can get a picture of what we're seeing as well. We're just not going back and saying, "Hey, everybody, this was a great 2 days." They're actually there with us, which has been valuable. So then they can go back and say, "Yeah, it is a pretty neat thing what we're learning."
Well, it does say a lot for you too. I know Tom was giving me sort of the oh crap moment when I said people, but you've had people on your team for a very long time. So you're doing something right. And I would say, Tom, the answer to that question is probably like your relationship. Right? Yeah. How we started off with this show was, you got your client and you got your mentors and friends and you keep it going and your vendors. But more importantly, Tom, I think you carry that relationship. I just showed an example about the Eugene Duck at the end of the day. And you randomly send text messages or randomly that quick phone call checking in. And I'm like, I'm blown away. So I know you're running a business and you're the owner, but talk about a relationship with everyone on your team. I bet you do.
Yeah, we have absolutely great people that work with us. They've been with us a long time. And in most everybody that works with us, we knew before they worked with us for a period of a decade or better. So, I mean, it's most of these people we've been around for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what makes it fun. It's hard to bring outsiders in to our team just because it is a group that has known each other for so long. Yeah. And, we can kind of read each other's minds and, but similar to a family, you can get on each other's nerves at points too. So, I mean, we have to be careful. We don't really consider ourselves a family, but we call ourselves one of the greatest teams out there.
Yeah.
And that's really something that we're consistently, and team members change from time to time. Sometimes somebody wants to go be part of a different team and we still remain friends with them after the fact too. So, I mean, this is a big thing. The people are really what make this worth doing.
Yeah.
It is just grow and develop. Dana, you got something to say?
Yeah, I would say, the people, I mean, it's so huge. And I know I personally do not like titles. I just wish we could just throw them out the door. I understand, like, as far as like, people outside of MSC, they need to know that. But I think some people get hung up on titles, and it's it doesn't help anybody, and it's like I will at our company, it's like everybody's willing to jump in when needed. It's not that nobody's too good to do whatever it may be.
Right.
And I think that's really important with the teamwork.
I love that. Let's just put our titles and our egos to the side and let's just rock and roll. Because at the end of the day, sometimes Dana has to just get up there and roll up her sleeves because there's a massive deadline and it's rained for 3 weeks straight. That doesn't really matter to Dana. She's all for it. But like, the job won't get done if I just, not do something like that to help the team, or something's happened or someone left, someone got sick. Like, just call everyone a team member. I'm all for that, right? You have a reporting structure, but we can call everyone a team member. And I feel like that's more powerful than anything else. 100% agree. What's the future in MSC?
Oh, we're going to continue to row the boat.
Row the boat. Yep. Get more efficient, dial in our SOPs, our systems, and that sort of thing. You guys have grown a lot over the last year and a half that I've met you both. It's been fun to see. Tom, I've got to ask a question, and I want to ask Dana to wrap it up. But what words of wisdom from the great Tom Groh? Anyone out there listening, give us the piece that you're like, wow, unbelievable.
Well, I don't know if it's a wow or anything, but I still have a couple of pieces of advice for anybody that's in the business, in the industry for a long time. I certainly wholeheartedly believe you need to be in your local, at least at your local level, participating in your nonprofit. Minnesota's the Minnesota Nursery Landscape Professionals. We also are in the Minnesota Parks and Sports Turf Association, our local associations. We have great friends and network in there, and that has been a wonderful support group locally, nationally, and now we're starting to hang out with more Canadians. They're coming around, but we started hanging out with the masterminds, the Element masterminds. We started going to Groh events. Yeah. We're with the ACE peer groups. That's great coaching. I think the piece for the coaching is we're about to be out coached at MSC. So I kind of tell our team that this is my shameless plug for ACE, is the fact that when you're $1 million a year company, you can coach a ninth grade basketball team, right? You get to 2 to 3 million. It's like you're coaching at a high school level. You're at 5 to 10 million. You got to start doing college ball level coaching. You get yourself to 20, 25 million. Very few people get there, and very few coaches can handle that pro level organizations. So if you're not getting yourself coached up to be at those levels, I think you're just going to get out coached, not only by your staff, your customers. And I think that's where the ACE peer group stuff, because it's giving you a support group and a network. Mm-hmm. So that's my last minute advice for them. And then one of my favorite piece of advice that I ever got in my life is I think we were 18, and we had a friend, his father, who was in the business. And we asked him what the secret to success was. And he smiled and laughed at us. And he goes, boys, you just have to work half days. That's all you need to do. And we were all sitting there like, sweet, just like our friend's dad, he only works half days. And then he laughed as he walked out of the room. He goes, it doesn't matter which 12 you work. And we all just that we're going to get smoked our whole life. So.
Oh man, that is going to settle well with me.
Yeah.
That is, I was like, wow, half days. Interesting. How do I do that?
Half days. So that's a secret to success. And we've been living it ever since. So we work a lot of half days.
Half days, lots of half days. Very good. Dana, any words of wisdom?
Yeah, I definitely agree with what Tom said. And then I would say, being we're a husband-wife team, how do we navigate that? We get a lot of questions like, how do you guys even work together? Like, really, like, how does that even work? And so I think through the years, we've really been able to fine-tune each other's roles and not step on each other's toes, which has been really huge and definitely helped our business in many ways. And then also trying to keep shop talk to a minimum after dinner, which can be a challenge, especially now that we have three boys that are running their own businesses. So they want to talk about their businesses as well. So sometimes I feel like all we do is talk about like either our work or the boys' work or whatnot. But like, we have to have something else to talk about, don't we?
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe less about MSC, but listening into all the three boys and their young careers taking off in their own businesses. That's fascinating to watch. I've been watching one of them on LinkedIn intensely. He is a fascinating person. Shout out to Adam and his business. It's been great. Wow. So much good stuff to talk about. I just, thank Tom and Dana that we ran into each other in that hotel room in Orlando. I feel like both are, what's that?
Be careful how you say that. Ran into you in the hotel room.
You both are great clients, but more importantly, just great friends and good to have some beverages with and celebrate. And and share each other's, words of wisdom and understanding where we all come from our backgrounds, that sort of thing. My dad his name's Tom. He passed 7 years ago, and I feel like Tom Groh is almost like a little father figure to me a little bit. Boy. And his name was Tom Cole, and you're Tom Groh. I mean, it's a lot of similar stuff, and so it's good to have you both. And McFarland Stanford, most importantly in my life, it's been such an amazing thing to have you both. A lot. I've learned a ton, and so give them a shout out. Minnesota Siding Company, unbelievable company. Go follow them on social media. They've got some unbelievable videos and pictures of all their great equipment and their team. And Dana out there running all the equipment, telling all the Toms to this is how we do it, women.
Yeah, that's right.
Women wide. So, anyways, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been a pleasure, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Tommy.
Thank you.
Ready to take the next step? Download our free Profitability Scorecard to quickly create your own baseline financial assessment and uncover the fastest ways to improve your business. Just go to mcfarlandstanford.com/scorecard to get yours today. To learn more about McFarland Stanford, our best-in-class peer groups, and other services, go to our website at mcfarlandstanford.com, and don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. See you next time on The Roots of Success.